Hegde is a recipient of numerous national and international awards, including Dr. B.C. Roy National Award, Dr. J.C. Bose Award for Life Science Research, and Pride of India Award from the US. He is probably the only Indian to become Fellow of all the Royal Colleges of Physicians of the British Isles. He was also honored with the Padma Bhushan. We now call upon Professor Preeti, the faculty advisor of EML, to welcome the chief guest with a fruit basket.
Preeti has warned me not to start eating it right now. So I won't attempt that. Oh, the hall seems to be pretty much full. And I'm sorry you're all standing, but from health point of view, it's good to stand. I'm not joking. Sitting quietly for an hour. Sitting quietly for an hour without moving will reduce 1 day in your lifespan. The same time you stand and just move your legs, your lifespan 1 day is added. Now the topic is something new, because I think Vijay had told me that it will be, what is it? Wellness concept. Stress management, okay, stress management. Now time management is also there. Management, because management must come, no? All the because the management department, right, Preeti? Manage, management comes from manus. This part of the body is called manus. So people used to control the horse. That's why the management comes from there. Of course, today management means money. That's a different thing. Well, managing anything is easy, whether it's time, whether it is health, whatever you have, other than economics. All the other things are very easy. My friend from China is an economist because they do all kinds of research. Well, let's now think of wellness vis-a-vis illness. We don't want to be ill, do you? You want to be well, right? Very simple, very simple. What's the difference between the two? Okay, let me ask you a simpler question. How can you be happy? Happiness index. How many of you have read this wonderful book called In Search of Happiness? Any hands up? Viktor Frankl is a psychiatry professor in the United States of America, but he was in the concentration camp. Hitler had put him in the concentration camp. He was a Jew, a very bright psychiatrist in Germany. And he had the visa to go to the United States and a job also in the United States, but he preferred not to go because his father, his mother, and his pregnant wife were also in the concentration camp. So he said, I shall not go to United States of America. I will live here with these people and see whether we will all be relieved. So to cut the long story short, first his wife, pregnant wife died, so 2 deaths. Mother died, his father died, and one by one the concentration camp people started dying, but he did not die. He did not die. And then, eventually he says they lived on urine and others' meat, dead people's meat. And somehow he got released, Hitler died, and then he lands in the United States of America, becomes a professor of psychiatry, and writes this beautiful book. Please read that. Simple thing is, if you want to be happy, give somebody happiness. Christian, an American poet, has so beautifully said, if love is what you give away, love is what comes back each day. It's like a mirror. You give somebody happiness, you get happiness back. Good, 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 good. Sit down here. No, these chairs are vacant. Sit down. Sit down. Good girls. 3 by 2. No, there are 3 chairs. Okay. எல்லாம் உங்க பின்னாலே உட்கார்ந்திருக்காங்க. So if you want to be happy, you must give somebody happiness. How do you manage time? Does time move? Time doesn't move. The same time, my grandmother's time also is the same time. Events move. Quantum physics calls it happenings. Events move. You know, we were in the other department a little while ago, and we spent some time there. Now we are in this department right ago. Do you know what is stress and what is distress? Everything in life is a stress. And without stress, you will die, wither away and die within 1 week. There's the African ritual called the voodoo. That is, if a thief or a murderer or a rapist is found, there is no Supreme Court there. There used to be no Supreme Court in the Aboriginal race. He was taken to the chief, and there will be an advocate who will say, this man did this, 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 this. If the chief feels it is right, he will take a bone, dead man's bone, and show it at the person like that. That is called voodoo, V-O-O-D-O-O. And we had done some work on the hearts of these people. Very interesting. After the voodoo, the man is not supposed to be talked to by anybody in the society, in that village. But he will get good food, and has got a nice outhouse outside the village, where even his wife and children are supposed to go and talk to him. Nobody talks to him, right? But he is fed very well. Actually, probably much more nutritious food than what he would have had in life in the house. None of these people last more than 1 week. They're dead. The belief, the superstitious belief was that showing the bone is the bad signal, and he died. But the fact is, these people's heart becomes very vulnerable for fibrillation. So we replicated that in pigs. What you used to do is, you put a pig in a cage, and it's very hungry, give it nice appetizing food, and the pig comes running, and then as it comes running near the thing, it gets a sharp electric current there, very painful. So it goes back. Again hungry, comes in. Second time, third time, nth time, the pig gets so frustrated, pig says, I don't want food. It goes back to the cage, lies down. It is frustrated and depressed. At this stage, we can fibrillate and kill the pig with 1 joule current, 1 joule current. A normal pig requires 100 joules current. And 1 joule current you then generate by even lifting your hand like that, you generate 1 joule current. So these people die because of fibrillating heart. And these hearts, when you look at them, they're absolutely normal. It's called electric death. See how the things are? Where is this all from? What is stress? Stress is a part of life. Getting married is as stressful as getting divorced. I'm not joking. It's absolutely right. But divorce is distress. Marriage is eustress. The difference is, stress you can bend in a different way. If you bend under stress, it becomes, young lady, distress. Good, this girl is writing, very good girl. But if you enjoy that, marriage, that was, of course, the definition was given by Samuel Johnson's second marriage. Triumph of hope over experience. So marriage is eustress, but divorce is distress. So now the Western youth neither want eustress nor want distress, so they cohabit and never get married. Because for them, for economic reasons, marriage is very expensive, divorce is more expensive. So why have that? After all, you want to cohabit, just live in relationships. And the government has now given legal sanction for the children born out of that also. That's nothing problem. And the inheritance, etc., there are some laws. I'm not very sure. Our professor of economics will tell you about that later. Now, what I'm saying is, don't you ever think that if I want a stress-free life, I should never have any stress. You will never grow. You must have stress. That's why if you don't work, if you say, I don't just want rest, I'm just not doing anything. If you don't do anything, you will be surprised. Within 124 hours, a lot of changes occur in your body which are detrimental to your health. Now, Vijay was asking me, are you tired? And I was seeing patients from morning 8:30. And then we came and some other department and there was something. But changing this, time management is very simple. Don't do the same thing for a long time. You get distressed. Supposing she had asked me to see 2 more patients, I would have run away. But she said, talk to the students. Oh, it's nice fun, I've been doing that for donkey's years. You probably don't know. I started teaching in 1962. And I've been teaching ever since and teach every day, even today, all over the world. I've taught thousands of students, but I enjoy that. When I meet all of you and see your faces, glisten, nice faces, I feel so happy. If I can make one of your mind get tickled, I tell you, the happiness I get is something phenomenal. Because what happens normally is, our educational system is so perverted, I tell you. Alexis Carrel so beautifully wrote, every newborn child is a genius, only to be converted into an idiot in school. I'm telling you the truth. Because every child, on the day it is made in the mother's womb, which is called a zygote, one cell. Human body is not like a motor mechanic, one heart with fixed and in the like Ford company's thing, and then you become a body. No, you are one cell. That one cell divides, and today you are a colony of 120 trillion human beings. How do we be happy? Keep all these 120 trillion fellows happy. If you did that, the 120 trillion people in your colony will interact with the 120 trillion people in his colony or his colony. Now they love one another. You must see that. There's a biophoton camera now. If you take a picture, you see how these cells are so happy jumping about. They're in sync with one another. Disease means some part of the body, they are not happy. It's all energy. And my energy flows into you. My leptococcus jump into you, your leptococcus jump into me. And we love each other. We are all related. Let me tell you, you are all very close relatives of mine. Because all our consciousness comes from the same universal consciousness. And the individual consciousness is what comes to the zygote on the day you are made in your mother's womb. And that brings you all the wisdom in this world, posteriori and priori. So education is not teaching something somebody doesn't know. That's what we think. There's an old saying, when we were young, we would say, a good teacher teaches. A better teacher demonstrates. A still better teacher explains. But the greatest teacher inspires. So what is education? Educe, E-D-U-C-E, in Latin means deliver. So I always call all teachers as midwives. What does the midwife do? Stands by the side of the pregnant mother in pain, coaxing her, cajoling her, empathizing with her, sympathizing with her. But who delivers at the end? Who? The mother. But in the class, who delivers? The teacher. That is the problem. You have to stand by the side of a student in pain, in suffering, in difficulties, coaxing him or her, cajoling him or her, empathizing with her, sympathizing with her, provoking her, prachodayat. And then the student will deliver. That is called education, deliver. That is why Swami Vivekananda read many years ago said, education is the manifestation of the perfection which is already in man. There's a beautiful way of saying that in Sanskrit. Dagdam, punarapi, punaha, kanchanam, kantavarnam. You want gold to be shining? You have to heat it and beat it. Heat it and beat it again. Heat it and beat it. Gold becomes kantavarnam. So beautiful, so shiny. So that is exactly what is education. But unfortunately, what happens in the Indian education system is a brilliant child which knows everything in this universe when it is born. And you must see, I have written an article the other day. I was seeing some child in a bus, in the airport bus. Many of you must have this experience. You get into the airport bus, then the bus waits for the VIP. VIP, very insignificant people, they come last. Oh, you didn't know that? அது தெரியலையா கடவுளே இது simple law. These people come last. Do you know why? They want to be important. நான் யார்? So they come last and everybody watches them. And anyway, this VIP was delaying it. And there I was, this kid, little kid. So excited it was. Daddy, look at that. It was 4-year-old kid. Look at that big plane, Daddy. Are we going in that? There was a big plane parked next in the bay. Then the father was so feeling awkward. The whole bus is making so much of noise and jumping about the place. Bus had some place. Then Daddy said, hey, keep quiet. And they had another kid to look after, and that was 2-year-old kid, so it had to be fed. So they were concentrating on that kid. This fellow will again jump. See, Daddy, that other big plane is moving. It's moving like a bus. Are we going in that? I don't want to go in that. I want to go in the plane which is flying. Just see the curiosity. Then little later, it's such an imprint on my brain. A little later, that little bombardier of the spice jet was coming out. Hey, that baby of the plane, I want to go in that baby, Daddy. I want to go in that baby. You see that? Now the child starts going to school, then child will stop doing all this. Then if you ask the child, no, I have to mug up, I have homework, 2 plus 2 is 4. Is 2 plus 2 is 4? You do that. And the child is completely become an idiot after that. That is what Alexis Carrel so beautifully wrote. Alexis Carrel is not an idiot. Alexis Carrel is a Nobel laureate. He is a surgeon, and he is the one who taught all of surgeons how to stitch vessels. Because olden days we used to stitch vessels and it would collapse. He made a triangular mathematical model and a different kind of stitches so that the vessel remains over. This fellow gets a Nobel Prize. He wrote a book called Man the Unknown. But don't read that book. Because he's a Jew. At the end, last 2 chapters are horrible. He says all mental patients are an economic drain on the society. So put them in gas chamber. Don't have mental hospitals. He was right in one way. Mind is not in the brain, but psychiatrists give chemicals to the brain. So these chemicals make the patient eventually Alzheimer's, demented. Because you can't reach the mind with the drug. And the professor of psychiatry in Washington University who wrote a book on this lost her job. Because she was against the industry. Finished. Her name is Elizabeth Grace Jackson. Please read their book. Dementia, a drug-induced crime on mankind by doctors. Thick book. Lost her job, but the book is getting her millions of dollars. She's going around the world selling that and lecturing. Oh, you want to write down? Dementia, a drug-induced crime on mankind. Grace Elizabeth Jackson. Get that book. It's about $16, not much. Anyway, coming back to stress and distress. Where is it all situated? Mind. Where do you manage your time? Mind. Where do you manage your health? Mind. All diseases, from common cold to cancer, originate in the mind and die in the mind. Where is the mind? In every cell of the human body, these 120 trillion cells. And every cell has a mind, and depending on which part of the mind you are worried about, that you get a disease there. Did you get that? So what you should do to be healthy is simple, very, very simple. 2 things. I told you, stand, don't sit. So what is health? Enthusiasm to work, enthusiasm to work. And what is health? Enthusiasm to be compassionate, enthusiasm to be compassionate. Paropakarartha vidam sharinam. Have you heard that? It's not just a moral preaching of the Sanatana Dharma, it is science. Now evolutionary biology, I'm not talking of the Western dead biology, I'm talking evolutionary biology, has classified the human system as a closed system, where everything happens inside. We're not the open system like the Western biology, where for everything you need a doctor to, if you get a cold, somebody has to, it's like, all, I mean, you being engineers, you all know the systems thing. Open system is like a bucket, you want hot water, you put a heater in that. When you don't want it, take it out. That's open system. But closed system is a geyser, you switch it on, it is there. Even you want hot water, it's not there because hot water becomes, there is a thermostat. So the human body has come here with the inbuilt thermostat, which is called your immune system. And this is the one that keeps you healthy or unhealthy, doctors notwithstanding. Did you get the point? 5 places in the world, doctors went on strike. I'm talking of 25 years. Learn from history, wrote Cicero, the Roman thinker. If you do not, you will relive history. What happened? Saskatchewan in Canada 25 years ago, Los Angeles County 15 years ago, Bogota in Colombia 10 years ago, Dublin, St. John's Hospital, James Hospital in Dublin 10 years ago, and recently in Israel. There are no private doctors there. They're all government doctors. And the government did not want to give them higher pay, so they went on strike. What would you expect? Patients would have died, no? Doctors not working. Right? But what happened? In all these places, now audit shows, hardly anyone died. British Medical Journal wrote an editorial. Doctor strike in Israel was very good for health of the society. Do you know why? We overtreat, over-intervene, over-diagnose, maltreat, mistreat, undertreat, or overtreat, but never manage the disease properly. You can't, because you don't know how the disease works. Unless you understand the human mind, you just can't understand how it works. So very easy. And diseases are not new. These diseases were there for donkey's years. Nothing is new. But we have created a new disease called, thanks to technology, called doctor thinks you have a disease syndrome. You have nothing, You are going about very happy. Right, ma? See, this girl knows that. You are very happy. Then we goad you, cajole you, coax you to come for a checkup. Have you heard of checkup? And when you go for a checkup, you come out as a patient. An American professor of medicine, she was 52 years old, very brilliant girl. She was like Preeti. She is not 52. She is about 32. 22, huh? Preeti is 22. Now, this girl is a very interesting girl. She asked one of her bright students in the class, she was in Yale University, who is a patient, she asked. Do you know what the student said? A man or a woman who sees a doctor becomes a patient. She was shocked. She said, is this what we taught you? Then she was shocked. Then she said, okay, second answer at least will be sensible. She said, when does he become a man or a woman again? Do you know what the student said? Rarely ever, comma, if ever, full stop. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. Do you know why? Statistical medicine we practice. We don't have hard scientific medicine. What do? What is the normal height of Indian males? How do we do that? We measure 1,000 males. And plot, இங்கே இது இல்லையா போர்டு இல்லையா பரவாயில்ல நான் சொன்ன உங்களுக்கெல்லாம் தெரியுமே நீங்கள் you're all experts in statistics. I'm an idiot. I don't understand statistics. Now what happens? You get a Gaussian distribution, right? Now we are very wise. We have a statistics. You know what statistics is? Science without sense. You don't know? You don't know? Write down. Science without sense. Science without sense is a book written by a professor of statistics in Washington University. His name is Stephen Milloy. Steven Milloy. Milloy. Got it right? It's published by Cato Institute in Washington. CATO in capital letters, Cato Institute in Washington. It just costs $7. It's a fascinating book. And this fellow tells you how statistics runs this world. Anyway, now come to what we have done. Mean plus 2 standard deviation. That is called average, right? But in medicine, what we have done is, we have made it synonymous with normal. Now you see, there are people who 4.5 inches, they're also normal. 4 feet 6 inches normal. 6 feet 6 inches normal. Now when we put mean plus 2 standard deviation, it becomes 5.4 inches. Now what we did, instead of calling it as average, we called it as normal, which means applying disease statistics on the healthy population. So what happens? You have thousands of people on either side who are normal, but they become patients. This is called false positive. For one parameter of the body, there are 5 to 25% false positives. Today, if you went for a checkup, there's what's called the total body scanner, which measures 750 parameters at a given time. So even if you take it at 5%, 750 into 5 is how much? My mathematics is very bad. How much is that? Huh? 3,750. This girl must be right because she is in the IIT. Now what happens? What happens? 100 people go in for a checkup, 3,550 patients come out. Did you understand that? It is as simple as that. And that is what is causing all the problems for medicine and creating more problems because we start treating everyone. American audit showed 95% of Americans, 95% of Americans are on at least one drug a day. One drug a day. And 1 in 20 people have 3 drugs a day. All because you have a new syndrome called doctor thinks you have a disease syndrome. And now we have created so much of anxiety in society, we have a new disease. Patient thinks she has a disease syndrome. If you take them off, it's about 40%.